Safraz here, the founder of Asian Apprenticeship Awards. I've got a little bit of a cold, so bear with me. I'm here today with one of our distinguished guests. She's a judge. She's one of the leading voices of apprenticeships. She has got 20 years experience in the training and development industry. She's done a lot of work with businesses and training providers through her Apprenticeships for England forum. She's the Chief Executive of Apprenticeships for England. She's also an ambassador for European Alliance for Apprenticeships. Lindsay McCurdy. Thank you, Lindsay, for coming down.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate your support, and thank you for your assistance as well. Today, obviously, you've come here for the judging for the Asian Apprenticeship Awards. You've got a lot of work that you're involved in the apprenticeship sector as a whole. I mean, obviously, everybody in the sector knows you very, very well. But for people who are outside the sector, just do a little bit of introduction, if you don't mind. Just tell them a little bit about your story. You know, what you're involved with, how many other organisations you're involved with, and and the support that you give the sector.
Right. About 5 years ago, I was working for a training provider, and I realised that in the wider market, there was nowhere for people to go for information.
Yeah.
There are membership organisations, but the information that comes from these normally goes to the chief exec, and it doesn't get fed down to all the people that are involved in apprenticeships. Yeah. At the time, we were having the 6 weeks apprenticeships, and I was quite vocal.
Wow.
And I can always say that my employer sacked me.
Whoa. Yeah.
They basically,
things happen for a reason, isn't it?
They do.
Yeah.
And so I left the office and I started up a company for £1. So I started on looking for a job, if you like, and somebody said, you have to be on LinkedIn. And at the time I was a member of LinkedIn, and I thought, well, LinkedIn is a tool that everybody's a membership of, but it's not really used. There's lots of groups and they've got a few hundred members here and there, and I thought, I'm actually going to do something on social media, not try and sell anybody anything, but put information out there, because what I'm passionate about apprenticeships, and I just think we've got to work together as a sector, not just training providers to training providers or colleges to colleges, but everybody who's involved, from apprentices, businesses, work together and share information. So if you've got a question to ask, you know, there's a like-minded group of people that are interested in one subject, and that subject.
There'll be somebody out there who's got some information that can assist and maybe support and so forth.
They can ask a question and people will get in touch. So I thought, I'm going to do something. I'm not going to charge a membership fee.
Wow.
And just do it there. So I started off, and in the main group, we've got over 20,000 members. Wow. And it's the biggest group of its kind on LinkedIn.
And that's the Apprenticeships for England?
Yep, group on LinkedIn. It's the biggest group of its kind in the UK. I think it's the biggest apprenticeship group on LinkedIn in the world now. And if anybody's anybody that's in apprenticeship, they're on that group.
They'll be in that group,
They're in that group.
I mean, I can vouch for that. Obviously, as I said, that's what you're known for in terms of the obviously LinkedIn group and so forth.
Yeah. So obviously, I have to earn a living. So I started putting on events that I thought would be reasonably priced, that people from all different areas could attend and share information, and that it didn't stop people coming because of the price. You know, and to have maybe not your normal speakers, but have people that I thought that were interested. And because I haven't got a board and I'm not answerable to anybody, I'm not funded, I can go out to speakers and do the agenda.
You can approach them directly, and you can make relationships and so forth.
And that's important. Relationships is how the world runs nowadays. People have got to trust people. So I started putting on the events, and then we started the Apprenticeship for England Awards, which is open to everybody, and it's categorised for business from the largest in the country, and we have some of the biggest employers in the country involved. Last year we had the RAF, who are the biggest apprenticeship provider in the country. They entered the awards down to companies of 5 people. And we do training providers. The one category we don't enter is apprentices. But we just do the people that are involved in putting apprenticeship together, whether it be the employer or the training provider or organisation that supplies support services to the sector involved in the awards.
For the industry. So an award for the industry, for themselves to celebrate what they do and their achievements.
Absolutely. And so we put on a national conference every year with the awards, but during the year we put on 2 or 3 events on subjects that are topical to the sector. At the moment it's the apprenticeship levy. Where Apprenticeships for England has grown is we're not actually selling anybody anything. We sell the events, which you've got a choice to, but we're not saying try our e-learning system, come to us for your apprenticeship. So people feel they can discuss anything on there. And we've had the group running now for 5 years. And we've had discussions on there that have run into hundreds and hundreds of comments at times. But people respect different points of view. And it's a good place to actually come to, because it is just about apprenticeship. It's not about where you've gone on holiday, your pictures of your children going to school, and it works. We have the websites which are updated just for that event at the time. We don't do advertising on there, and we just put current news stories down that people come to. And I think people feel they're not being pressurised. We're not trying to sell advertising space. So that's how the group has grown. Where Apprenticeships England was, I was looking at as a platform for me personally for work. I engage with employers, and that is my background, was employer engagement. So I understand how businesses work more so than I do about training. I've never been a trainer. I've never worked with young people, but the one thing I have done an experience of is talking to businesses. So I've always realised the importance of businesses, where in the funding of education thing, training providers they've never been at the forefront, even where they are now. So if you are a business, where do you go to for information on the apprenticeship levy? If you're a small business, would you think to go on .gov?
No.
And businesses want to hear stories about other businesses and what they're doing. They want to hear about a small business that's taken on an apprentice, or if you've got a 70-year-old that's started an apprenticeship the other day. Interesting stories rather than
something they can relate to, something they can sort of,
the real world, how the world works, because businesses do not think, oh, actually, I must go on to XMAT's website and find out the latest news. They want information. So that is why I think the group has been grown so much, and we have such a diverse membership, if you want to call it a membership, of people who are part of it. It's a membership organisation without any rules.
Yeah, but you're not just on LinkedIn, are you, Lindsay? You've got Twitter, you've got other platforms that you're using. Just share that with us as well.
Well, Twitter is I'm not 140 whatever it is to go, but we have 10,000 followers on Twitter now. Facebook, which I don't understand at all. That's not your thing, is it? But we have 4,000 followers on there. So, and that is Twitter, and it's only been over the last couple of years. Facebook has been a year. So, but we send out the same information because you have different audiences. People that...
And it's getting the message across to them in their platform which they prefer. So obviously Twitter, Facebook, you've got newsletters as well.
We do the newsletter out if I think something important to go out to people. People must be thinking, oh, it's that woman again, she's sending out another newsletter. But they can always, unsubscribe.
They can always unsubscribe, they can leave or whatever,
It's not we're pestering them for...
You're not charging them.
Not charging them. We're not trying to sell them anything. Sell them the conferences and events because I have to earn a living. Do you know what I mean? But I hope the conferences are of value to people and they come back, and they do.
It must be a lot of commitment, Lindsay. How do you do it? Is it a team, and do you get much support? Is it just yourself?
Well, no, it's just myself. But then I have kind people like yourselves who support me because you like what we're doing. You can see the value of it. So you offer your support and help, and it's all gratefully received. And people have been very kind to me.
You're very respected within the industry because, as I said, you're unique in terms of what you've done and what you're doing. So a lot of love for you within the industry per se. Yes, I know you're not just about the industry; it's about employers. But the industry specifically recognises that in terms of you have been the voice of the industry.
I've been really lucky, do you know what I mean? And people have been really responsive. And I think it's taken a few years because people say to me, actually, what is it you do? And my answer is normally what I feel like doing at the time. But it's actually to get across the message that apprenticeships are really good if they're done properly. And there is a benefit to young people that maybe aren't ready to go to college. They're not ready for university. Well, the vocational route is the right route for them. And to make sure they do get paid the minimum wage, because one of my biggest things is when I found out that 25% of apprentices are not even getting the minimum apprenticeship wage, which I think is disgusting. It's also making sure that training providers are offering quality training, and that's why we started the awards. And we're very vigorous. Do you know what I mean? We ask for evidence, and it's basically give us your DNA and blood group to make sure that we. Oh,
yeah. They've got to go through the criteria.
Absolutely.
You've got to meet the standards.
And it gives them, actually, I want people to think if they want an award, they've achieved something, and that they are offering a quality apprenticeship, and they're ready to stand up and say, look at us, look what we're doing. And you know,
they've got to substantiate themselves. You've got to be able to
absolutely. It's not just
yeah.
about giving an award for an award's sake. It's about actually making sure that they're respected. And, you know, I think what you're doing with your awards is fantastic, because the Asian community, it is a very close-knit community, and they might not think about entering Apprenticeship England awards. They're based in the South Coast. They're nothing to do with us. Where you're reaching into...
It's that connection, isn't it?
Your connection. And I think to make use of those and getting that message out there and saying, actually, apprenticeships are for you. It's not just university. They're not second rate. Actually, there is a really good career pathway. But over the past few years, I'm going to say in the last 30 years, we've had 62 ministers of state for apprenticeships.
There's been so much change.
Yeah, 6 months. And you get one minister come in and change, and they, you know, like somebody said today, you can't have high degree apprenticeships, they should be called career degrees. Would you, you know, in the sector yourself, it's hard to keep up with all the changes. So how can we expect businesses, and especially parents, you know, go back to my husband, in their day, you did an apprenticeship, it was 3 or 4 years minimum. 5 years in engineering, where up to a couple of years ago, we were having the 6 weeks apprenticeships, 12 weeks apprenticeships. We've devalued the brand so much. You know, the sector as a whole has got to come together and work to make sure that when people hear the word apprenticeship, they think of quality.
They know what it is. They know what they're getting at the moment.
They know what to do. You can't keep changing it. The apprenticeship brand has been devalued over the years. It become a numbers game, and there's still...
Obviously, there's targets that they've set, which is 3 million, you know, so forth.
And are they achievable with the levy, which we still haven't got all the information, and most people plan a year, 18 months in advance, their business plans. We don't even know how it's going to work. The DAS system is, you know, it's still being trialled and tested, but we're going live. And we're talking about a lot of money to fund apprenticeships with a system that's not even been tried and tested. I think it was a Chamber of Commerce report that comes through that 35% of businesses still haven't even heard of the apprenticeship levy. So I think as a government, the government has failed to get that message across. Because I always thought, why can't they get every council in the country who send out rates, business rates, send a letter to every employer? They've all got lists of all their business estates, where all the businesses are. Why haven't they let them know? Why
there doesn't seem to be any connection. It's just every department is working in isolation. Every minister who's come on have done it sort of in terms of their own way.
Well, we had 2 departments running apprenticeships, whether you're under 19 or over 19. And now we've got a new department coming. We've got the, what is it called? I've got the name of it now. The Apprentice Board. They're just advertising for a chair. I actually sent out the notice yesterday. Institute for Apprenticeships or something? Yeah, Institute of Apprenticeships, They haven't even got their board members set up in place, and they're meant to be running the to reach a 3 million target, and they haven't even got members in place. Careers advice to schools has been abysmal. I would say we used to have connections in every high street. They went, all gone. Then we used to have, it was a duty of the headmaster to give careers advice, where basically they could say, go and look it up on a computer. And then we've got the Careers Enterprise Company, brand new company, given £20 million, been given more money now to solve the problem. But they're still in their early stages. Are they going to reach every school kid? Because me personally, I run things past my own grandchildren, because they're at that age now. And my grandson left school to go to college this year. He's never been given a word about apprenticeships in his school. And he goes to he went to a big school. Why wasn't he given the options or the information? So there's lots of work still to be done to get the apprenticeship message out there. And all you can keep doing is knocking at doors and chipping away. And so what I've tried to do is my thing. I thought, where would, if Apprenticeships for England wasn't there,
what are the mechanism or what other platform would there be?
Where would they go to? Because,
where would they go,
Because obviously we do get a lot of interest. We get people to attend the conferences, and, I have hundreds of emails a day from people asking questions. Where would people go to? Could they phone up NAS and get the answer, or would they get a switchboard and somebody reading a sheet of paper? Or try this number, or try this website. We used to have a NAS website, which was quite nice. Then it went to .gov. Now, if you're a business or a young person, would you go through 30 pages or, 30 lines of click
it's
on
very
here.
hard to navigate through those sites, isn't it? That's the issue. Yeah.
We don't talk to people in the language they speak in.
Yeah.
We speak in a language that, if you're a young person, .gov doesn't mean, it's not where you naturally think to go to. And we've just got a new site for them to go to and find their vacancies, which everybody has to go to. We promote, and they're fantastic apprenticeship schemes, like Rolls-Royce is always my example. They only had 345 apprentices taken on last year. They had 19,000
Applications. Wow.
Where did those young people go to? Half of them probably didn't meet their criteria of A levels and A stars, but we're not picking up on those young people, because what is really strange is you hear from people saying, I've got the jobs but no young people, or I've got young people and no jobs. There seems to be no match in the country. A little while ago I did a search around where I live, down in Portsmouth, and for business admin, the nearest one to where I live was 15 miles away.
Wow.
When you work in London or places like that, or you work in the countryside, we're just not getting the message across. We're missing something. And parents now have got a very bad perception of apprenticeships. Yeah. We've had too many bad news stories. And if you think it's only a few years ago that I think a quarter of all apprenticeships were done with one supermarket train.
Yes.
Which, we had the Panorama programme.
The Treasury Select Committee.
Yes.
Yeah, there was
which didn't do apprenticeships any good, because parents do watch those programmes on TV and think, it's not not where I want my child to go.
Yes. Lindsay, I want to go back a little bit in terms of your career. I mean, obviously, you've come from an employer engagement perspective. You talk about employers going into the forum. Yes, we've talked a little bit about, obviously, parents, about the apprentices themselves, about the industry. But where does this fit in with the SME businesses, the sort of startup businesses in terms of apprenticeships? Are they ready in terms of from your experience? You were frontline dealing with employees. Are they ready to take on apprentices? Do they know the responsibilities of what they're getting into, in your personal view?
No, they don't. And to be honest, I think this is another thing where the sector is let down. Employer engagement is one side where training providers employ people but actually don't understand how an SME works or what an employer's needs are. And making a phone call to employer, have you ever thought about taking on an apprentice, blah, blah, blah. Not enough research is done. People get on the job as employer engagement, but they don't know all the different sectors. And if you're going to talk to somebody, you've got to research it, and you've got to understand the business that person is coming from. Because otherwise you're doing a disservice. And I think, sometimes I think these employee engagements in some places run like call centres.
It's just a matter of phoning somebody up. Have you heard about these grants? Have you heard about this opportunity? And it devalues it.
Yeah, and by the end of the day, they've got no passion in their voice, because they've probably suffered rejection 95% of the day. Yeah. So we need to look at employer engagement differently. Yeah. We've got to make it simple for businesses, especially SMEs, right? And probably not the right thing to say, or politically correct, but people are looking for staff. Yeah. They want somebody that's working their business. And if you're a small business, your bottom line is the most important thing. If you think, actually, I can take somebody on, train them up without having to spend a fortune, so I can get a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, employ them. Instead of paying £7, I can pay them £3.40. But what it does, it gives that person a stepping stone. Yeah. If they like it, they stay on, and maybe there's progression for them, depending on the firm or whatever is on offer. Yeah. But it also gives a business a chance to show somebody, so that young person only knows their business. They're not, they're not come to them with 15 jobs behind them. They can teach them the skills, because we don't have that thing. What an apprenticeship used to be is the master passing on their skills. Yeah. We don't have that anymore. Yeah. And the people that we've got talking employer engagement to businesses actually,
they don't know. You don't feel
I don't feel like they're touching job, because SMEs. You say that, but actually, it's more SMEs that take on apprentices than the big firms. Yes. But there's a lot more SMEs out there than there are large companies, and most SMEs at some point will grow from one person to two person, and it would make sense to take on a young person rather than somebody that wants to go in there and wants a large salary. So I've got to think about how we get engaged with SMEs and what we need to do.
Yeah.
And I think there needs to be more, if we're going to offer incentives to businesses, they've got to be real incentives and not where a business has to wait 5 or 6 months to get
their grant,
the age grant, you know. Because a lot of the businesses did use that to pay part of their wages or additional training.
Yeah.
And if they've applied and they've got to wait 6-9 months, it decentivises them. Also with the age grant, which I always found funny, I think you could have up to 10 apprentices.
Yeah.
The only thing was you had to say that you wanted 10 apprentices at the start.
Yeah, you had to commit to the 10.
Yeah, because if you committed to one and then in 6 months and thought, actually this has worked really well for me, try it and see, I like it, and you took on another apprentice, you wouldn't be eligible because you could have a 12-month gap.
Yeah.
So
It's bureaucracy.
it's a bureaucracy of it. So people think, I've got the grant that time, why haven't I got it now? But if I said I was going to have 10 apprentices, I could have had it for... But there was no time gap. You didn't have to take all those 10 apprentices on at the same time. So if the government really does want to incentivise small businesses to take on, let's have a true grant. And also, say you had a business, a good example is Walsall.
Yeah.
At one time, the council there was paying 3,000.
Yeah, which is double the normal, so the 1,500. Yeah.
And that's what the council were paying. If you were a small business, under 50 employees, they would give you £3,000 on top of the 1,500. I don't know if that grant's still working at the moment, but it was there.
Walsall Works. Yeah.
Walsall Works was really good. But say you were like Shifnal down the road.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same grant there, but you're the same business and you could apply. And it also depended where your person lived, because if they lived in the right postcode area for...
It's like a postcode lottery.
Yeah, and they couldn't understand that somebody else could live locally, but maybe their house was owned, they were in another state. Yeah. So let's make it simplified. So we actually are going to give grants to SMEs to take on businesses. Let's make it workable.
Lindsay, we've had a fantastic conversation. Thank you for bearing with me with my cold as well. Just a sort of a message really to the people out there in terms of maybe from a parent's perspective who are maybe considering career paths for their children, maybe even from a youngster's perspective, if they wanted to go out there, get information on apprenticeships per se, look at opportunities in terms of apprentices, where would they go? What advice would you give them?
For parents, I think nowadays, if you have a child and they're saying, university's not for me, college not for me, I want to work, I've heard about apprenticeships. If parents aren't finding advice, I would say, look at what your child's interest is, what do they want to do? And then if you phone up organisations that look on the internet, we all got internet on our phones everywhere, and see what organisations are offering apprenticeships, make that phone call. Because there's not many places to go to. There are some really good job sites out there. Not going to uni, get my first job, plotter, etc., etc. They're out there, which has lots of information about different sectors, what is in an apprenticeship, what the young person has to do, what the employer has to do. So parents can do an awful lot to help their youngster. But for young people, that is a challenge. Most kids, if they know they don't want to go to university, don't want to go to college, do they know actually what they want to do? Yeah. So I would say, if you've got an interest in something, go to an employer and say, can I have a bit of work experience? I've come to, give me travel. Try it out, because nothing's worse than getting a job as an apprentice and after 3 weeks, find out, talk to other young people, see what, if they are apprentices. We need more young people going into schools. It's no good having a career advisor and they go into a room of 50 kids. Yeah. One wants to be a plumber, one wants to be a hairdresser, one wants to work in care.
You can't relate.
Would that one person have all that information at hand? Would they have all the information to go to? So 40% of the audience...
It's not specific, is it then?
It's not specific enough. So young people have got to get on their phones. Phone up, because for employers it's great if they see a young person, phone them up and think, my God, they're interested. As an employer, that's what you want. You want people that are interested in working for you, because that's your livelihood, your business.
Lindsay, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming to Birmingham for today for the Asian Apprenticeship Awards. Thank you for being a judge and an ambassador for ourselves. It's been a fantastic conversation. Again, thank you for your support so much.
It's been lovely. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.